public feuds with multiple coaches, teammates, opponents, and even MLB itself. He's accused one of the league's best players of cheating. Several years later, he likely used that same method of cheating to go from having the worst year of his career to being the best pitcher in baseball. But after all of this controversy, in 2021, Trevor Bauer was in the best position of his career until several severe criminal accusations became public, which could end his major league career forever.
I want to warn you, many of the details are graphic.
The story about Trevor Bauer is really ugly.
I think he's done, Jeremy. D-O-N-E.
What's up, peoples? What is up? This is Kermit, your host for Blake 610, back in the building. I like to say what's up to everybody once again. I got this story that's, it's kind of like, it's like it came over my, timeline, and I was looking at some things. And this came up, and I was like, just one of those stories that I just got to give my 2 cents, piece of my mind on it. And the story is the Trevor Bauer being accused of sexual assault case. He was accused of that sexual assault on a woman some time ago that got him suspended from and let go from the Dodgers. And his life went downhill since then. It is something that's happening now to athletes. It's like athletes are being targeted. Yeah, some of them, in my opinion, put themselves in that position, which is like the worst. They don't think anything like that is going to happen to them, that they're above that they, superheroes, that they gods. But they get targeted too, and we got to call it out for what it is. We can't be saying, they deserve it, or they got all that money to give up. Nah, it's just not. It's not right. You know why it's not right? Because that could be done to anybody, not just to athlete, but it can be done to the average Joe. But it's just sickening. It's sickening. It's a sickening case. Not to say that he's innocent or the accuser is guilty, but I just want to give you guys, little video, and you make your choice from there. I have my views. I'll give you my views after we talk about the video, we watch it. But it is a trend. It's happening. It's happening a lot. And I guess we got to call it out. We can't just let it go by like that. Like some of these guys have no feeling. They have no life. They have nothing. Again, they might have put themselves in a position, but that's still the wrong thing to do. I mean, because we can't. Everybody looking at like our society. Yeah, he deserved that. Yeah, all the rich people, and yeah, because he was a bad guy. Yeah, Trevor Bauer. He's been known as a bad teammate, a bad person. He was doing a lot of stuff during the game. He was tweeting. He was vlogging. He was doing a lot of stuff during the game. He insulted people. He insulted awards, all type of stuff. Trevor Bauer wasn't a nice guy, but you don't want to wish this on somebody. But enough of me talking. Let's look at some of the video, and you make your decision from there. I'm just looking at it from a layman's point of view. I have no dog in the fight, but it's not a good thing for being a player, and also just mostly for our society and for things that's going on. You want a better world? Let's start with these little things.
From criminal lawsuits that keep stacking up against the guy to the fans' outrage at all the terrible allegations, here's everything you need to know about Trevor Bauer being accused by another woman. The former MLB pitcher is in the news again, and not for anything good. A fourth woman's come forward accusing him of assault. She filed a lawsuit in Arizona, but here's the twist. He isn't taking it lying down. Nope, Bauer's countersuing the woman for fraud, claiming that she's just trying to squeeze some money out of him. In her latest complaint, the woman revealed that she had an unplanned pregnancy after he violently assaulted her back in December 2020. But it doesn't end there. He told her not to keep any records of what happened, including the pregnancy, and if you thought that was horrible, let me tell you, the poor woman went through some really tough times after the assault. Her attorneys revealed that she became suicidal and even had to go to the hospital in the weeks that followed. Not just the assault, though. Trev was abusive to her on other occasions, too. He allegedly slammed her into a computer, breaking the screen, when she was around 3 months pregnant. Here's how the story goes in the victim's first complaint. She's been to his place in Scottsdale a few times before the assault happened, but here's where it gets real scary. She claims he held a jagged steak knife to her throat and even choked her multiple times during those earlier visits. Yikes. Of course, Trevor's side of the story is different. His co-agents released a statement where they denied the woman's allegations. His attorneys are fighting back, and let me tell you, they've got a pretty interesting story to tell. It's going to be quite a battle in the courtroom, that's for sure. According to them, he had a consensual encounter with the woman, with Trevor claiming that the condom broke during their intimate time together. After their encounter, things took a wild turn when the woman apparently told him she was having his baby and demanded a whopping $1.6 million to end the pregnancy. Can you believe that? Bauer was so taken aback that he decided to countersue her, claiming fraud. His attorneys even claimed Trev has rock-solid evidence in the form of audio recordings where you can clearly hear a woman making the demand. But wait a minute, because she had evidence of her own. The alleged victim actually recorded video diaries and wrote journal entries to be used in family court documenting what she described as abuse. She claims that these recordings were made even well before the first public accusations in June 2021. And, well, let's just say it's quite the collection. The woman believes he's using crazy stories about her character as a way to distract the court and make her go down a rabbit hole of explaining herself, losing track of the actual issue. But she's not letting him off the hook without a fight. That's when Trevor clapped back, saying that while he's refusing to pay that crazy amount of $1.6 million she wanted, he would support her decision regarding the pregnancy and cover any medical expenses, on top of providing child support. According to the athlete, he ended up paying a total of $8,761 for the costs related to the reported pregnancy and the termination. After all these allegations started piling up against him, Trevor's representatives went on to release a statement saying that this woman had been making million-dollar demands against him for 2 years. That's right, folks. This wasn't the first time. In fact, he filed a criminal complaint against her, accusing her of...
So that stuff is kind of crazy what you're hearing about Trevor Bauer. But again, it's like he say, she say. So it's his word against her word. And what might come into play is his character. His character. You know, sometimes your character can carry you far, and sometimes it can destroy you. So there's gonna be a lot, and then it's like 3-4 women coming out of the woodwork. Not to say that he did it because all 3 of them came out, but it's not looking good for him. But he's gonna fight it to the end. We've seen in these days that you can't say that he's guilty, and that it's going to be, that he's going to just give up. That's going to be him. I also have some problems with certain things that I've saw on this video.
However, the police didn't recommend any charges to the prosecutors. Things just keep getting more and more complicated. In the end, she did not have the baby. According to her, she decided to keep the pregnancy, but fate had other plans. She unfortunately had a miscarriage in April 2021, so now in her lawsuit, she's seeking a whopping $3.7 million, along with an apology to any woman who've been his victim. But when this news of the miscarriage was brought on the table, the story just got way more ugly and twisted. Bauer's lawyers claim that she never provided any medical records to support her pregnancy or the termination. So they're accusing her of straight up lying about the whole thing. Gosh. Instead, they say she had LASIK surgery for that money. Talk about a plot twist. They even brought up some serious credibility issues with the woman, pointing out that she hired attorneys to send a demand letter for $3.6 million right after similar assault allegations were made by a woman in California. That's too big of a coincidence, if you ask me. In the countersuit, the legal team is not only accusing the woman of lying about her pregnancy to get money out of him, but they're also going after her for fraud regarding the money he provided for her medical expenses. Bauer's team is not holding back. They're asking for compensation for damages and attorney's fees, too. It's a legal showdown, and it's getting messier by the minute. In the midst of all of this, the Scottsdale police were reached out. They had a report of assault involving Trevor in the same time frame, but it's currently listed as inactive with no charges filed. Wonder what that's all about. And hey, check this out. Bauer's countersuit is quite a story, too. Apparently, he met the Arizona woman through Instagram of all places, just like how he met another woman from San Diego in 2021 who made similar allegations against him later on. Coincidence? That San Diego case was the first to hit the public eye with such accusations, causing both MLB and the police in Pasadena, California, to launch investigations. Crazy stuff. Now, he was never arrested or charged in any of these cases. However, the San Diego woman came forward. Two other women from Ohio also made similar claims against him, which were reported in the Washington Post. The domino effect is real, folks, but despite all these allegations, no criminal charges were filed against him. He desperately denied these accusations, making it a real he said, she said situation. And even though he faced no legal issues, MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred hit Bauer with a hefty suspension of 324 games for violating the league's domestic violence and assault policy. He had signed a massive 3-year deal worth $102 million with the Dodgers, but clearly it didn't go exactly as planned. He only ended up pitching in 17 games for the team. After the Dodgers gave him the boot, he didn't get picked up by any other team in the MLB. He did make his way across the Pacific to join Japan's Yokohama Bay Stars, but hey, he went from being the highest paid player in MLB to now showcasing his skills in Japan. He can't possibly be too happy about that, which is why he decided to appeal. This led to a private arbitration proceeding, where the San Diego woman actually testified for several days. It's not entirely clear how involved the Arizona woman was in the investigation that followed, but we do know that MLB spoke to both the San Diego women and the two women from Ohio who also accused him as part of their investigation. They're leaving no stone unturned. In a shocking turn of events, it was then decided that his suspension will be reduced from 324 games to 194 games, meaning the dude won the appeal.
MLB just went and just suspended him all those games. They heard the noise, so they went and reacted instead of waiting. They wanted to hear what the LA Dodgers had to do. I guess a big market team. So they ran with, we're gonna suspend them. Like they suspended them like basically like for like 2 years, 3 years. And now they cut it down. They did a whole bunch of stuff. To me, baseball is just like they do the wrong thing. They just do the wrong thing many times. Then they have no justification for it. But that's a whole nother stream. Yeah. So this guy, man, it's not looking good. When you get a whole bunch of people trying to stack up against you, again, like I said, your character is You know, the court of public opinion can get, can get you fired, hired, or vindicated. So, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with it. And then, we have this his latest one that came out talking about, yeah, he's this and he's that. And she's, it's like leaning towards she's not telling the truth, and people are, really interviewing her. She's going on the interviews and she's getting her fame, her clout for it. So she's probably going to get some out of it, but she's saying a lot of stuff that's like, that's inflammatory and detrimental to his livelihood. So it's just a little crazy. This story is just, this story is far from being done. If you want drama, if you want everything that's going on, you should follow this story. The story is a little crazy. And also, I think if MLB in a sick way, they can follow the story and kind of get, some recognition of what's going on. But MLB is trying to rub their hands and try to get rid of him and say, oh, we ain't got anything to do with this. He's a bad guy and he's this and he's that. But I mean, you could kind of turn it the other way. And because MLB is one of those sports, which is Major League Baseball, one of those sports that everybody kind of be like, I don't know. It's better, it's funner to play it, but watching it is, if you don't have the major teams playing well, then the other teams, who cares about the other teams? But, again, let's look at this other one, this other lady being interviewed about, when she feels like she's the victim. So let's look at some more stuff. And shout out to the athletic baseball, the athletic base that that streaming platform. Follow them guys. It was very interesting in what they did. I want to give you guys a shout out. All right, guys, let's look at some more. Right?
Next victim, star pitcher for the Dodgers. A text Lindsey Hill sent to a friend before she ever even met me. What should I steal? She asked another, in reference to visiting my house for the first time. The answer? Take his money. So how might that work? I'm going to his house Wednesday, she said. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. Then, after the first time we met, net worth is 51 mil, she said. Bitch, you better secure the bag, was the response. But how is she going to do that? Need daddy to choke me out, she said. Being an absolute whore to try to get in on his 51 million, read another text. Then, after the second time we met, former Padres pitcher Jacob Nix told her, you got to get this bag. I'll give you 50,000, Lindsay replied. Her AA sponsor asked her at one point, do you feel a tiny bit guilty? Not really, she replied. Since then, her legal team has approached me multiple times about coming to a financial settlement. But as I have done since day one, I refuse to pay her even a single cent. In August of 2021, Lindsey Hill's claims were heard in court. And during those legal proceedings, critical information was deliberately and unlawfully concealed from me and my legal team. Information like this video, which was taken by Lindsey Hill herself the morning after she claimed she was brutally attacked, emotionally traumatized, and desperate to get away from me. And now we have the metadata, so there can be no dispute. It was taken mere minutes before she left my house on the morning of May 16th, 2021, without my knowledge or consent, of course. In it, you can see her lying in bed next to me while I'm sleeping, smirking at the camera without a care in the world, or any marks on her face. I think it paints a pretty clear picture of what actually happened the evening of May 15th and why the video was originally concealed from us. After hearing the evidence available to her, Judge Diana Gold-Saltman found that Lindsey Hill had misled the court. She found her claims to be materially misleading. She denied her request for a domestic violence restraining order, and she found that no sexual assault or non-consensual conduct took place. Now, some of you might not know about restraining order hearings. I know I didn't, but I've since learned that it's extremely rare for a request for a restraining order to be denied because the standard of proof that you need to obtain one is extremely low. So you can make of that what you will. The fact is, I was never arrested. I was never charged with a crime, and I won the only legal proceeding that took place without my side of the story even being heard. And most importantly, as I've said from day one, I never sexually assaulted Lindsey Hill, or anyone else for that matter. So I sued her, which prompted her to countersue me. Quite frankly, regardless of the outcome in court, I've paid significantly more in legal fees than Lindsey Hill could ever pay me in her entire life. And I knew that would be the case going in. But the lawsuit was never about the money for me. It was the only way for me to obtain critical information to clear my name. The discovery process in that lawsuit recently concluded, at which point Lindsay Hill's legal team again came to us with another proposal to resolve the case. This time, however, they weren't seeking any money from me. Having received much of the information that had been hidden from us, a small portion of which I've referenced here, I was willing to agree to the terms proposed. Both parties would drop their respective lawsuits, and neither of us would pay either side any money. I also retained my right to speak publicly about the case, something I have not been at liberty to do since June of 2021.
Did you hear that? So after all of that, the lawsuits were dropped, and that's crazy. That's crazy. Just a lot to unpack. Whole bunch of nonsense going on. So the accuser was also interviewed by another journalist, and it didn't look good for her. So she got caught out there a lot. So I'm gonna let you guys look at that one. All right, let's look at that one too.
I'm going to allow you a chance to explain yourself, but after you agreed to meet, you asked your friend what you should steal. Your friend answered his money. He says, another one from you to a friend, I'm going to his house Wednesday. I already have my hooks in. You know how I roll. With a screenshot in which you told him, tryouts don't scare me, Bauer. Pick a day and I am there. Here are some more after you and Trevor met up. Net worth is $51 million, to which your friend responds, bitch, you better secure that bag. Your text, need daddy to choke me out, being an absolute whore to try to get in on his $51 million. You say this wasn't a setup. How can you expect anyone to believe that?
That's a great question. I really appreciate you having me on to even have this conversation. Obviously, there's a lot going on around this, so I really appreciate people who are asking questions about it. The first thing I want to say is, I think that Trevor did this intentionally with the text messages and how he framed this video. There's several things in it that are not correct. And I just want to start out by saying, it's so valid for people to question those text messages. But the root of the problem here is that he is presenting this as one conversation, when in reality he had thousands of messages to choose from, took those, made it look sequential, which it was not. There is no combined screenshot of those things going on one after the other. And as I said last night as well, there's no text message that ever exists. Otherwise he would have, put it out there, combining, anything about a setup through rough sex, finances all in one. Those were handpicked, and they were from multiple different conversations all before we met up. And I think that the video in general doesn't even talk about what actually happened between us two, which is what would have come out during a jury trial. These were all messages that happened before. And then of course the video is so valid as well for people to ask questions about. But I do think that video was entirely misleading. He also references the restraining order hearing, which people also have questions about. He says that he was cleared of any wrongdoing, which is actually incorrect. In our civil case, the judge had actually ruled that he had not been cleared of any wrongdoing, and that was a federal court judge. So
I want to get to the domestic violence restraining order hearing as well, but I mean, so you're saying that it's misleading because you're admitting that you did talk about rough sex and wanting rough sex. You did talk about him needing to choke you out. You did talk about stealing his money, but it's misleading because he put them together in the same video as if you had said it in the same conversation when in fact it was separate conversations, correct? That's why it's misleading?
Correct, and as well as not showing, the messages that occurred after where it discusses it strictly in the term of, being a baseball wife or something like that. Okay. I'm just curious if like the statistical likelihood of you texting your friend premeditated texts saying you wanted him to choke you out and steal his money, take his money, and him actually choking you out, and those two things not being related. It's a really, really valid question. And like I said, I think you would need to look through each conversation. Those were handpicked. But I can, like I said last night, completely own the fact that those were overly sarcastic, overly inappropriate to some may seem. And it does give off that impression about clout chaser and totally attention seeking behavior. But I just feel that they have, nothing to do with what actually took place. But it does cause a lot of questions as to why I was, seeking Trevor out. But at the end of the day, there was nothing about a setup with violence and all of this stuff and getting financial gain. It was strictly, a 25 or however old I was at the time, girl trying to get attention from those things and phrasing it in a sarcastic way before we met.
Okay, so I've got a couple other questions on that. So you said in court that he sexually assaulted you on 2 different encounters, and you say the first time that you say he choked you unconscious. Clearly, the insinuation is you didn't like it because now you're calling it an assault. But why did you make the drive back to LA to meet back up with him a second time if this man had just assaulted you by your own account?
I think that's a really good question. How I phrased it and how I in the past is that I was so embarrassed by the first encounter that I felt something, deep in me to go and take the power back and to be better and to be what he wanted in a sense. And so I don't know. There's been a lot of, through all the processes, witness experts on the psychology of what happens when you are assaulted, XYZ.
Guys, I got to stop that. That's so much garbage going on. It is so much garbage. That's just like that's just like you hear. It's all I hear. It's a whole bunch of, and it's like I can't listen to that, man. It's just like she's lying. You can tell it just doesn't even make sense. And not just I think that way. Look at the person interviewing her. Look how she looks. Her jaws are sucked in. She's like, "Oh, please, just make me understand what you're talking about." Because I'm clearly looking at you. Look at the interviewer. Look at her body language. Nobody believes it. That's why they had to come. They had to settle. They had to settle for nobody getting anything out of it. That's what they had to settle. It was a stupid case. Unfortunately, you don't have the smoking gun. You don't look good. You don't look good with the story. But maybe she's getting some clout somehow. She'll get some money because somebody's going to throw some money her way, and her clout, and she's going to be, held as a victim, and the victim Olympics champion. They're going to give her money. They're going to put her up. It's a whole bunch of, I'm not, saying that Trevor is innocent, but it's still 3 other women that doesn't make him look good. So we got to unpack those. Maybe those 3 are just like this woman. We don't know yet. So that the jury's still out on this. And it's, it's an ugly, ugly situation. That means that it's an ugly situation because men being victimized. Well, oh, wait. Y'all don't see men as being victims, but men can be victims too. Just because they don't scream and cry and go to the public opinion, which he's doing now, and he's getting people to say, just because most men don't do that, don't think that they're not victims. They just take it and keep their mouth closed and keep it going. Because nobody really cares. I tell you, nobody really cares about men, the men and their feelings. Nobody cares about them. But at least Trevor's putting it out there. And this woman and the other women, he's going to fight them to the end. So the story is not done. We will report on the other 3 ladies and everything else that goes with it. Yeah, I mean, it's an ugly situation that's happening in our world. But I guess that's what happens. That's what happens to greedy people and people who want things, it's terrible. It's terrible, guys. So, guys, tell me what you think about this and, send me some comments and again, subscribe, man. I got a lot of things coming up. All right, guys. So we do. Always remember, persistence overcomes resistance. I'm out of here. Peace.